The month of April 2025 astrology gives us a cosmic green light in love and money energies in our lives, but at the same time, we're going to have a rare, not seen since 1877 connection of the North Node of fate to the Lord Saturn in Pisces. And in this regard, there is something profound and very important happening for the world and for each of us in the Pisces whole sign part of our natal sky. I'm going to talk about how this looks for you individually, for your sun, your moon, or your rising. And today, if you're listening for your rising sign, please definitely, that's going to most likely be some circumstantially accurate material. Your sun sign is more aligned with career purpose and the soul of you. The moon can connect you to issues to do with your home or how you emotionally feel about the month ahead. So keep those little details in mind. And also a reminder that this is general astrology. Your natal chart is very individual. So just use this as a guidepost to time your best life and navigate this crazy month of April. This is not just a cosmic green light. This is also a very big change with Mars coming into the part of the sky we call Leo. And this is a new energy. We've been stuck with Mars in Cancer instability for 4 months. So huge changes of direction, huge energy shifts, Venus direct, Mercury direct. That's your cosmic green light. Mars finally getting out of debility and flowing in a beautiful and powerful way in the sky to placements in fire signs, including Neptune. And so what we're going to bring into this conversation about this month ahead is general overview for the world, and then individual all signs delineations. And so we should be here for about 90 minutes. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. This is Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology, not sidereal, although I will be talking a little bit about some of the perspective of the sky from the perspective in Indian or Vedic or Jyotish astrology today, because we're going to be talking about the conjunction of the North Node to Saturn, which is also a very important principle in the Eastern traditions. Second of all, what I want to say to you, if you're new, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. That would be really helpful for helping the channel grow. And I'm going to be teaching my Sky Reader class June and July. It's going to be summer school. In the description box below is the early bird discount waitlist so that you can get in with a discount price if you want to time your best life and be your own astrologer in my 6-week live class that I'll be teaching this year in the summer instead of the fall. And I am going to put another indicator for you to check out down below in my description box if you want to know more about me. My website is down there. My Patreon community is there where they get all my content early access ad free, and we have classes together. And you can also find me on Substack. So everything's down below. All right. So welcome. And I can't wait to talk about this month because it's so radical. Sometimes I like to do an overview of what I said last month and just compare, hey, did I get anything right? And so I did get a couple of things right. So I'm going to just briefly say what I mentioned would happen for the video I recorded in February that was for the forecast for March. Okay. Now, just so you know, and then I'm going to talk about this month's political, social, and global stories, and then your sign. Just so you know, what was I going to say? I do drop 30-minute videos, 25 to 30-minute videos for your sign, which are already out as I record this on March the 28th. So your sign, data week by week, day by day, in great detail for your sun, moon, or rising. Those videos are already out, and there's a playlist for that. So I'm not going to walk you through every event this month. We're going to focus on cosmic green light vibrationally. Yay! Who doesn't want Mercury and Venus to finally be going direct, and therefore we can now go forward on those money, love, creative decisions and directions in our life. That's wonderful. So there's vague general ideas I'll bring to your attention about that. But for the details of how it applies to your sign, that kind of content is already out. All right. So number one, I did mention a few things last month that before it happened that I want to bring your attention to. So I did mention that we would definitely see Donald Trump in harm's way between the 3rd week of March and the 3rd week of April. I'm still saying that is true. I'll explain why when we get into this video a bit more. It's coming off of certain energies, eclipses especially, and the Leo full moon square Uranus that we had a few weeks back. But also I mentioned that we would have, I'm reading my notes. I actually said that sometime around March 12th or 13th, we would find a shocking revelation about health matters. And I used the example of the lab leak on COVID and that story may reemerge. Well, indeed, that story did reemerge. I don't know if you are aware of that, but there was some kind of massive revelation around the lab leak theory to do with German intelligence, and I'm going to just show you what I'm talking about. So I nailed that one, and am I so vain that I have to tell you what I got right? No, someone said that in my last comment. A lot of channels do this. Astrology podcast with Chris Brennan does it. One of my favorite friends and astrologist, Dan Waits, does it. It's just to show you astrology works. Okay, not great me, but to show you that it works. So this was a breaking headline. It was Reuters, BBC. Everybody was talking about it. It was all over the e-waves. People were having interviews on TV shows, all the stuff, guys. I don't know that I'm sharing what I think I'm sharing with you. I'll try again. No, I don't think I am sharing it with you. I'll show you one more time. I'll give it a try. Okay, I think I'm pulling up what I think I'm pulling up and not some kind of fantastical non-existent thing, but I'll give it one more try. Maybe I can get it to show. Yes, I think I have. Nope, wrong one. Oh, someone just shoot me. You're going to have to trust me. Major headlines March 13th, German intelligence figures out there was a lab leak in Wuhan, and then the whole story is real. Yes, I said it was a lab leak the first year of the pandemic. It was obviously anybody with a brain would notice that there was a lab doing research into gain of function and on bats. So anyway, Moore said, I hate being Cassandra, but I usually say something ahead of the curve that's true. And I'm called a conspiracy theorist. I said Ukraine was a proxy war, and I was told I was insane and hated on. And of course, it's a proxy war. What the frig else is it? Okay. So long story short, that was something I predicted. That came true. Another thing I said would happen when there'd be massive water hardship, floods, etc. Now, when I said what, that was along the lines of Neptune Sun energy, and I said there would be hardships with water, and I predicted it would be sometime in the second half to the end of March, and there would be big flooding, big water hardships, and indeed that is exactly what happened. And I will share that with you if I can actually get the sharing to work. Yeah, I'm having a total Mercury retrograde day. Okay. Just take a look at the headlines for the flooding. I'm going to give it one more try. And then I'm going to, the old college try, right? And then I'm quitting. Okay. It finally, Mercury stopped fucking with me. Excuse my language. Yeah. There's what happened. Okay. So we had, this is me recording, by the way, on March the 28th. And these are vast areas of Australia's Queenslands are flooding. There was flooding in Venice, and they managed to patch it up. So there's flooded streets over half years of rain. Russian regions battle floods. So I said near the end of the month of March, we will begin to see water hardship and flooding connected to Neptune stories and sun stories. And indeed, we're having that happen. So end of story. There was a theme of flooding that I was suggesting would happen for many reasons. One of them was some Neptune Gandanta at the drowning degree connected to some harsh energies there. All right. And then finally, I did mention that the last eclipse that happens on the 29th of April will be the final nail in the coffin of the Gaza war. But I also mentioned in that video that peace would be unlikely to be sustainable. And of course, it hasn't been. The ceasefire has not endured. However, I will predict this today on March the 28th, with Venus being contained between Saturn and North Node. The last time that happened, the ceasefire happened. And so there's this, that would have been back in the very end of January, early February. So Saturn, the goddess of peace, will be contained between Venus, the goddess of peace, will be in a conclosure between the North Node and Saturn the first 7 days of April. And my prediction is that could bring us back into a Gaza ceasefire. Long story short, the long game of that war, if you want to call it that, I'd rather say it's an ethnic cleansing. The long game of that is that between the eclipse of April 30th and the next 6 months, we're likely to see the final nail in the coffin of that tragic, disgusting, horrible situation in the Middle East. Do you condemn Hamas? Okay, I condemn Hamas. Thanks, Piers Morgan. But I don't condone civilian casualties and destruction of infrastructure. and annexing of land. So that's my take on it. Yeah, you can unsubscribe right now. Go away. Goodbye. All right. So now, next thing I want to talk about is this month and what I'm going to predict will happen. Now, when I talk about world predictions today, I am literally just using astrology, not my personal opinion. The focus point of today's predictions is going to be the presidency of Donald Trump and whether or not he will be alive or in any capacity able to fulfill his mandate in the month of April, because there are multiple indicators that he is coming into harm's way. Multiple. First of all, Uranus is crossing back over his midheaven, and that's on the star Algol. That crossing of Uranus over his midheaven was a precipitating factor with Mars involved on the midheaven with Uranus for the bullet that clipped his ear back in July. So because of that, we're back in the same energy field again. But there are a couple other things I want to bring to your attention. So one of them is that this time around, Mars will be crossing over his Saturn in the 12th house of hospitals at the tail end of Cancer, just as we see this crossing energy of Uranus on his midheaven. That combination is extremely malefic. And it could definitely indicate that he is in critically dangerous territory during the month of April. I'm going to show you a chart. And I'm also going to discuss another technique for saying that there's danger ahoy. He's still in danger as well from the Leo full moon eclipse a few weeks ago, which plays out over 6 months. Leo is his rising sign. There was also square Uranus on his midheaven. So let me take a look at the chart with you so you can see why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's not my preference or it's not my politics. It's the astrology. That is so weird. Hi, thanks, Mercury retrograde. I went to get my mouse and the recording started without me. Crazy. So here's Donald Trump in the middle, and here's the sky on the outside, the real-time sky, so to speak. I want to note that, of course, as I mentioned, Uranus is making the moves, right on top of that midheaven for disruptive shock and awe. I hate when people say wrecking ball. Uranus is called the Great Awakener. He's not a wrecking ball. He's a Great Awakener, but he can also cause on Algol, a difficult star on midheaven of Donald Trump, crazy stuff like Medusa losing her head, right? It's a myth of the decapitation of Medusa. And of course, Trump's head was almost shot in the first attempt on his life. So yeah, so there's that. So we just got the story there, right? You got the basic idea. There's a problem, and we have many factors influencing Donald Trump right now, making his life more challenging. One of them is Chiron over Hygeia. So there's a big health energy signature going on for him at this time. And we're going to have an absolutely intense time with this moon that's coming up in Libra. There's a full Libra moon on April the 12th squaring Saturn. And well, it's maybe not the first and most obvious thing to think about when it comes to Donald Trump's health. It is indeed something that we have to consider. And that's because when we have a moon in Libra, and let me give you that moon, let me just do this. Let's move us forward into the Libra moon. On April the 12th, we have 2 lunations this month, a Libra moon that is absolutely intense and a Taurus moon that's just as intense. So because of Algol and Uranus connected to it. So the Libra moon happening on April the 12th is where we're headed to. And I'll just give you the vibe, guys. This is not good for Donald Trump by any means. So when we have the moon in Libra happening at 23 degrees of Libra. So the moon is a little further on, but it's easier just to keep it like this in terms of my circling it around. Sorry, get this mouse to work on my lap. Here's the moon. She will be at 23 Libra, opposite the sun at 23 Libra with Chiron, health and matters to do with health and sickness, and on Hygeia, health and hygiene and health matters in Donald Trump's natal chart in his 9th house. Now, when you get that combination here, and then we're going to have the moon across the way, right over here in Donald Trump's natal 3rd house, that would indicate travel. This could be air travel. This could be in a plane, train, or automobile. This could be at a rally or public event or in a media event. Why media? Because this is the media. So, getting in front of a camera, talking, doing something in the media sphere. We have this oppositional energy going on like this. Yeah, on top of that, it gets even more intense because we're also going to notice that this particular lunation this full moon is also going to come into a square to Saturn, and this is his house of hospitals. And unfortunately, Cancer can be about food we eat, such as poisoning or some difficulty with food. And, I don't know, anything, who knows? And there's Mars, right? And Mars is crossing over that Saturn. And that's why we also don't like this intensity either. Mars is a malefic in the condition of his fall, crossing over Saturn in the house of hospitals. And we also can see there's some health stories coming through that lunation. So, well, it may simply be a health event, and that's all it is. My temptation is to be suspicious of any unexpected health calamity, that the cause of it may be foul play. So just keep that in mind. And later on, we're going to have on April 27th, a new moon in Taurus. It's also going to be a very intense energy for the world, as it will square the Pluto Mars opposition. And that's because Pluto in Aquarius will be opposite Mars in the first house of Donald Trump. Well, there is a lunation or a moon at the top of the sky up here. And that is indicating, again, a lot of intensity, because it takes Trump's Pluto natally, makes it like a Pluto opposition here. We'll end up with Mars over here, and we'll end up with the moon at 7 degrees up here. This is going to be coming up at the end of the year, at the end of the month. Both of the Libra lunation and also the new moon lunation are difficult for Donald Trump and potentially for his physical health and wellness. And it does not help that, as the transiting sky is going to indicate, we're seeing the asteroid for health matters as well, and shock and awe Uranus crossing his midheaven. Now, if that isn't enough to give you pause, and it should be, right? I'm going to share something from one of my fellow astrologers, Dan Waits, and I absolutely love this technique that he talked about in his, I'm a member of his back end now, of his community. Go check out World Astrology Report, Dan Waits. He's been on my channel at least 2 times. He's going to be coming back again. And if you like mundane and world astrology, he's amazing. So it's just called the lunar shadows technique. And he dug it up and has been trying it out for size. And I'm not going to give you the whole technique here. You can join his platform, become a member, and it's affordable. And you can learn some of these new tools there as well on the back end of his platform, worldastrologyreport.com. But what I want to mention about the lunar shadows technique is that he pointed out, based on this idea that there's a 9-month gestation in a baby, mama makes a baby, the moon is the mama, that you can go back every 9 months and look at the like, for instance, when we talk about the Libra full moon, what happened 9 months before and what happened 9 months before that? What are the seeds that this is being generated? What family of seeds does this lunation connect to? And in this regard, it is interesting, because when we have this April, 12th, 13th full moon in Libra at 23 degrees, if we go backwards 9 months, we're in the first quarter moon 9 months ago in the sign. Okay, first quarter moon 9 months ago, and in the sign of Libra. And what ended up being about that time frame 9 months ago, first quarter moon, takes us back to July the 14th. It was at 22 degrees of Libra. Well, it was July the 13th that Trump was almost unalived. So we can see that the seed of the Libra full moon in the month of April goes back to the Libra quarter moon that connected to this particular situation with his ear and almost not being here today. And then we go back to the 9 months before, which is October the 14th of 2023. We had a new moon in Libra at 21 degrees of Libra. And that was when Thomas Crook's father sold him a rifle, the rifle that was used apparently in the shooting of July 13th. So we connect the dots. That's the whole point. Now, if you go back to the new moon, October the 14th of 2023, you'll also notice, maybe if you were to do your research, other things that Donald Trump got involved with at that time. And if you are also like me, wanting to move away just from the Trump story, you could go back to October 14th, Libra new moon, also corresponded with the eclipse that generated the situation in the Middle East. with Israel and Gaza. So that is the new moon. That was an eclipse. It was October of 23 at 21 degrees of Libra. And that literally is the beginning of the war. Then if you go to, probably, if you have patience, go to July the 14th of 2022, someone do the research for me, you'll find some major turning point events. July of 2024, July 14th, around that time, you'll find some major turning point events in the war in the Middle East. And then you go to the Libra moon that's happening on the 12th. And what happens is that this is a lunation. It's on the rising sign or the ascendant of Israel. The ascendant of Israel is 21 degrees of Libra. This is going to be a lunation that's coming up, that's challenging and difficult, right, in the sign of Libra. And therefore, this is not an easy lunation, for this full moon is squaring Saturn, and it is going to bring some difficult. Squaring Saturn. Did I say Saturn? Squaring Trump Saturn, squaring. But I'm going to show you something. I'm going to bring this sky back for a minute. Let's get rid of Donald Trump just for a sec. Okay, and let's just bring ourselves up to, I thought I was there, to the 12th. Just look at this, energy of the 12th. I'm on the 11th. I'm not there yet. Okay, this moon will be at 23 degrees. This sun will be at 23 degrees. And the ascendant of the nation of Israel is here at 21 degrees. Now, that energy is going to really rock, something to do with the Middle East war, because we have Chiron, the wounded healer, or the war wounds in the house of open enemies of Israel. And so there's going to be a full spotlight and a completion light on the nation of Israel. And when I talked about that moon shadows phase that I just described to you, we're going to see things happening and squaring Mars. All right. So Mars in his fall, not in good shape. Mars is definitely indicating explosive, intense, challenging, fallen energy in the sky for that country at this time. That's all I can say. I can't give you the deets. I don't know what it's going to look like exactly. Home and homeland and territory is this part of the chart for Israel. And also opposition party to the party in power can be used as this Capricorn fourth house. This is the party in power, right? And that happens to be the coalition government that Netanyahu has. Cut and sever, changes, wounds, harsh energy. So we may expect to see some unexpected changes. Uranus is traveling pretty close to the sun of the nation of Israel. So political calamity and changes ahoy. Now, those are my predictions. Let's go ahead and do your sign. I'm going to go through about 2 or 3 items per sign. The deeper dive is already out. You can go get your 25-minute video in the description box. I'll pin the playlist to the All Signs podcast playlist for each month, and I'll put that also at the top of the comments, so you'll be able to locate that. You want to go watch your sign in more depth than I'm about to give you today. Today's delineation also wants to give you a broad vibe of not seen since 1877. By the way, 1877 was the election of a contentious president who won, but people weren't sure they wanted him. So he had just gone into power in 1877. And the massive labor market strike, the railway strike, low wages and poor conditions for railway workers in 1877 led to a massive strike of railroad workers. And I wouldn't be surprised if Saturn North Node energy this time around brings major upheaval in the labor markets, if not protests and stuff like that in the United States as well. Could be rinse and repeat. But when it comes to your life, the North Node and Saturn are very intense karmic energies. You haven't lived through it. You have to be alive in 1877 to know how this synodic cycle applies to your Pisces sky. Yes, every 12 years, North Node, Saturn join together. I am going to be doing a deep dive video on that for you. That's coming out in the month of April, because it's just too much information to put into today. But as I go through each sign, what I want to point to as a general principle is, where can you work with energies of karma, fate, and destiny to get long-lasting results and enduring gains in your life? That's what Saturn and North Node Rahu can do in the most positive way. It's like, think of Saturn as the architect, and then Rahu as the one that wants to, make sure that the architectural design is worldly and successful and material goods come to you because of it. So if you want to use this energy, it's possible to be consciously using it instead of in the shadow. Because the North Node amplifies what it touches, it could amplify melancholy, nostalgia, depression, anxiety, places of constriction where you jail yourself in. You're your own worst jailer, and all of a sudden here comes Rahu, and you're even more stuck than ever. So it doesn't have to be that way, and we're going to go through each sign as a general vibe. But I will be doing a much bigger, longer, and more intimate video with the Sabian symbol, minor asteroids involved in early April. If you like this kind of intelligent, like deep dive material to understand the cycles of life, then please subscribe, please like this, please share this video and any other videos I put out. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries. I'm going to talk about that cosmic green light. I do deep dives on all the full and new moons every month, so we're not diving into it here. Okay, so let's get started with Aries. All right, let's start with Aries and give you just a couple of deep dives of going forward with that cosmic green light, and a little bit about that Rahu story as well with Saturn. Rahu is the North Node. All right, so Aries, you can see here that this is your sky. You're on the horizon line. One of the things you've got to note about this is that incredible amount of momentum and freedom and going forward finally emerges for you, where you might have been really stuck in that 12th house with the retrogradation of Venus since March the 1st, going backwards into your 12th house, as well as a retrogradation of Mercury, both going direct, Mercury on the 7th of April and Venus on the 12th, in indicating for you that you're probably going to have as I was saying, I'm an Aries sun and moon, so I can relate to this a bit, all of March, and then, third week of all of March with Venus retrograde, and then Mercury joining in. The vibe later on in the month of March, the vibe is sort of like indecision and uncertainty about what you desire and want to have happen in your life regarding love and money matters, and particularly with the retrograde here, guys. Aries, this is 12th house is your soul work, right? It's not even just your addictions and your self undoing, your bad habits. It's a deeper place than that. It's like, your Akashic records and your soul work and your past life and your spiritual liberation belong to the 12th house. And so in essence, Mercury's dream messages should be very important and have been important. And then on this April 7th, your nighttime nocturnal dreams are not so profound as he moves forward. And you begin to also see a lot more clarity regarding love. And it's on an axis of karma. It activates a karmatic axis of 612. And so karmatic relationships in love and business, or matters to do with finances connected to distant shores, foreign marketplaces, may be coming to some clarity and certainty. And now you have a cosmic green light about how you want to handle these things. And eventually, as both of these planets move in the month of April forward, and you begin to get that depth of clarity and that new understanding, and they move through the sign of Aries, then you're also going to take actions on that. Now, that's all in the deep dive video for your sign that's already done. And so go check that out. But cosmic green lights here can also be that really deep, profound certainty that comes from the 12th house. This is the job direction. This is the money direction. This is the love direction that I want and need and can take in my life. That's important to understand. It really also could define over the month of April more certitude about what you want to do with your home. Buying a home, selling a home, changing your home, moving your home. Mars is in that 4th house, and that's important to understand that until he leaves there on April the 18th, and we still have that direct motion energy of Mars, of Venus and Mercury, then negotiations, details, contracts, certainty about home matters are also coming into play for you. Now, I would mention that because we have a Libra full moon in your 7th house, and I'll be doing a deep dive onto that, opposite the Chiron connection to the sun, there, and of course in a square to Mars, there's this kind of critical mid-month lunation that could ask you to really complete a relationship, end a relationship, or a contractual agreement connected to home, property, land, and real estate, or fulfillment and a karmic destined ending there as well because of the eclipse we had on April the 30th. So karmic, fated, destined changes in home matters, and certainly in long-term committed business and love partnership relationships, you may be coming to some juncture of closures in that area of your life. Now, if you're a long-term married person, don't get all riled about this, right? We're just talking about the possibility. This is not your chart. But we are finishing up a series of South Node eclipses in that 7th house, and this last eclipse, March the 30th, March 29th is playing into the month of April, and you're still on the wave of that eclipse, and it could literally kind of ask you to pull the plug on that business associate, partnership, relationship, the way you attend to your audience and marketplace, and also to a significant relationship. So as an Aries sun and moon, that could be me just finally pulling the plug on one-on-one client readings. And I might be doing that into the rest of this year. Sorry, guys. I may keep my priority past Mondays open, and I may engage in maybe some pre-recorded readings, but I've got a book to write or two, and I really just have to make that decision. So that's an example for you. Now, when North Node and Saturn come together in your 12th house, and it hasn't happened since 1877, you're likely to have a profound spiritual shift here. If you feel alone, lonely, isolated, and it's a problem for you, you haven't found the solace and solitude, the North Node will amplify that sense of disconnect, aloneness. The 12th house is a house of jails. You may feel like you're in your own imprisonment. But if you're not that person who's caught in the half-empty cup, then this could really be a beautiful kind of karmic opening for finding a spiritual path that sustains you, for finding a direction of spiritual inquiry in the long term that can open up doors of spiritual awakening. Saturn can be the sage-like master North Node destined intersection. I can't wait to dive into this in a lot more detail for you in the bigger video coming out later this month, in the month of April, because it's going to be so much more than what I can share here. And because this is also happening in the 12th house of marketplaces and foreign shores, meaning you make income from an international company, barter trade, borderless income, digital revenue. Those are sources. North Node expands the worldly success, and Saturn gives it stability, structures, and forms that can endure for the long game of material success financially from those stories. And last but not least, I would like to point out with this North Node Saturn conjunction, it's happening all month long. It's most exact around the 21st of April. You might find that between April the 4th and the 18th, when this conjunction is heating up and Mars is trining it from the 4th house, that could indicate a time of some translation to a move of home, a change of home connected to far off distant shores and lands. And that doesn't have to be a distant shore in another country. It could even be a distant shore relative to your own country. The other side of the country would be an example of that. And so that's what I've got as an overview. And don't forget, the deep dive video is already out. Certainly when Mars moves into your 5th house, it's going to passion up your enthusiasm and your inspiration for romance, creativity, our entrepreneurial endeavors, and you're going to get your mojo going there. And that's something to look forward to April the 18th to mid-June. So stay tuned for my video on Mars's ingress into Leo. We'll be covering that in a separate story. Please like and subscribe and see if you don't like this kind of content. Now, what about you, Tauruses? What about it? Let's go into it. Well, first of all, the energy of the month, right, as a categorical whole, the cosmic green light, as I called it in the beginning, is that finally you can make decisions and go forward in love and money matters connected to your 11th house. Now, your 11th house is your gains from your career. It's technically the money you're making from 10th house activities. And Pluto's trying to transform death and rebirth of a career or a purpose direction. And now you've got this kind of like, you've been wobbling back and forth on March 1st all the way till April the 12th, that's Venus retrograde. And then, of course, Mercury retrograde. My God, what was the date that he went retrograde? In March, mid-March to April the 7th. So the retrograding here is all of this uncertainty, having to backpedal, revise, rewind, rethink, pause, stall out, not make decisions yet. But you can make some major changes here in the money you make in the world. Your career path can be significantly changed. It could even lead to a new job, especially a new job, because you have a full moon completing an old job and breaking away in a square to Mars coming up around the middle of the month. So I'm going going to say that a lot of you with that full moon, which can play out up to a month later and up to even 6 months later, are preparing to an exit strategy for some career, purpose, job path. And even though the moon is happening on the middle of the month on the 12th, it can take a little bit more time, up to 6 months, to fulfill itself, but it looks like a completion of one livelihood, work, career direction for the transformational beginning of something new. That's that Taurus, that's that Pluto energy in your 10th house. So when we go green light, go forward, you can begin to have clear decision-making conversations and activations regarding the way you make money and changing it, basically. You may also make major choices and changes in friendship circles, and or things that you've been considering doing, and now you've got the go ahead to start ahead. Join a club, join a book club, start a new, go to new community gatherings, social groups expanding and changing in destined faded ways. And now you even though you've been backpedaling and revising and rethinking who you want to be in your social networks and your tribe of choice, now you've got more clarity and you're ready to implement those stories and make it happen. Now, that moon that we're talking about again, the one on the 12th of the month, a humdinger, right? It's really going to activate potentially some significant changes in work. There's no doubt about it. And significant changes in work and location, especially when it comes to like the neighborhood. You might change your job to a closer to your home or a different neighborhood, etc. Or it could be a completion and a change of a rental property, to complete a lease, to sign a new lease. That's something that maybe begin to germinate for you in the month of April. But with a moon, you could fulfill it within the 6 months that follow. Because you're a Taurus, I guess I would be totally remiss if I didn't talk about a Taurus moon, at least in passing, right? So we're going to come to April 27th, and we're having a new moon in Taurus at 7 degrees. Of course, it's going to impact the early born Tauruses the most for new beginnings and fresh starts, but also it happens to be coming into a T-square with Mars opposite Pluto. Now, that is intense energy, as, of course, we will have Pluto in your 10th house, and we will have Mars in the 4th house, and there will be this new beginning for you, a fresh start of some kind with shocking, surprising new directions that you want to accomplish for yourself, Uranus, that benefit your long-range health, Hygeia, and kaboom, there's this intense new beginning at the end of this month. And you may not see the fullness of it for 6 months, or you'll know the lay of the land within a month after the new moon. But it certainly looks like a change of career, change of home, change of purpose, and change of self. And whatever this is, it's going to be much better for your mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional health. That's for sure. The North Node is meeting with Saturn since 1877. It has not happened. And that's in Pisces. And Pisces for you is, again, the place of friends. And, North Node is destined and fated and expansive. And, Saturn is long-lived, maybe older friends or enduring friends. So there's a real stabilization and a destined change, a shifting in the whole month of April with that North Node Saturn conjunction exact on the 21st, but in action all month long until about mid-May. So you're really making big social network shifts and changes. Of course, worldly success is what North Node Rahu wants, material ambition rewarded. And Saturn says steady time over time, structures and forms. It's literally like, an ambitious desire for material resources and success from your career, tempered by Saturn's wisdom, sagacity, and caution. So I do think it's going to temper how fast you move away from an old career path into a new one. But the long game of stabilizing significant career gains, success financially, recognition, and rewards is there for you. But don't be expected to all happen in April. What this is doing is setting a new course, like the Titanic, missing the iceberg and instead hitting the Bahamas shore. It's going to set a new course for your own fulfillment of your long-range dreams and goals and wishes. And it's going to open up corridors of new sustainable success financially, directly related to the career changes that are underway for you over the next year. Ultimately, you've got a Hail Mary pass because Jupiter is traveling through your 2nd house till June the 9th. And this is the you will not be a homeless bag lady kind of thing. The universe is going to protect you from complete financial failures. So in this regard, I'm not too stressed about it. And even that beautifully intense moon in the house of work is supported by Jupiter, the one that in middle of April the 12th. Jupiter does lend a hand. So it's not going to be a change in job and homelessness or a change in career and work and transformation with financial hardship. Things will work out on the financial front, but you're getting ready to change your career destination for sure. A lot of you are, at least. Purpose and career fundamentals and how you make money are changing, Taurus, are changing. So we're going to move on to the next sign. But Taurus, don't forget, you can check out my all signs deep dive 25-minute video for your sign. It's already out. The playlist is pinned to the comments for all signs. And also the playlist is pinned to the description box as well. So in the description box, so you can find all that information out and go watch your own solo video. Hey, Gemini. I am a progressed Gemini sun, so I kind of relate. By the way, your progressed planets are not as fundamentally important as your natal position. But for you, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising, what we can say about the month of April, cosmic green light. Yeah, we're going forward finally in your area of the sky that represents your 10th house of career. That's because that's where Venus goes direct. That's where Mercury goes direct. Mercury on the 7th, Venus on the 12th of April. And these places of thinking it over and revisioning and rewinding and pausing, they have been in place since March 1st for Venus and mid-March from perspective of Mercury. It's an interesting time because, like, if I was giving guidance to anybody during this period of time, I wouldn't make a major career move, right? I would be pausing and waiting to see what the next development shows you. And now you have a green light to go ahead in new exalted directions. Venus is exalted. New exalted directions in your career. What is it you wish to do that is going to bring you sustainable and lasting satisfaction? Saturn's there. That also is destined and will bring you great prosperity and wealth. This is a story that Venus wants to collaborate with that, Saturn conjunction to Uranus, to Rahu up there. And with Mercury going direct, you're going to have the ideas, the communications, the visionary power to see what you need to do next. Mercury is in debility, but he's a visionary here. So you can really sort of have these big, bold, high, noble, powerful rainbow and unicorns dreams, but some of them will be able to be coming true for you. Don't settle in your career. Choose what really nobly inspires you, because Pisces in this decan has rainbows and unicorns and magic in it. So this is a time for you to really open up to the big dream that you have for your life and begin to move in the direction of that, in my humble opinion. And because we also have a connection here to the North Node coming to contact Saturn around the 21st of April, but in play all month long, in orb all month long, especially after April the 4th. You're coming into a not seen since 1877 window of potentially incredible success in career. But Saturn is also kind of sometimes like the reaper. So something might have to end for the destined acceleration and material ambition of Rahu or North Node to be realized. We have Venus midwifing this from her exaltation, superior results. But we also note that Saturn can be a tough taskmaster, and it can be the combination of structured hard work, discipline, focus, and the ability to rise to a level of sagacity and wisdom and what you're offering the world. And having Mercury up here with the microphone as well can indicate that there's something you need to use here as a message platform for something you wish to accomplish in the world that's destined and fated and brings material ambition and rewards as well, success. We'll be covering this in a much deeper dive when we do the all signs video coming up in the month, because there's a lot more details to this than I can possibly cover in the overview. The other thing I would pay attention to here, of course, is that Jupiter is making you lucky, oh so lucky, till June the 9th. And so with Jupiter still moving now direct in the sign of Gemini, witnessing the North Node conjunction, there is a benefic energy that supports a greater ambitious success in your career, rather than, let's say, the opposite side of the story, constriction, constraint, feeling trapped, feeling jailed by your career. That would be the shadow side of this conjunction in your 10th house. What I like also is there is a Libra lunation full on the 12th of the month at 23 degrees of your 5th house. Your 5th house is a house of entrepreneurship, creative projects. Libra is a sign of books. I'm going to get that book proposal for my editor done no matter what. But there's more than that. This is your joy, your enthusiasm, your inspiration, your children. This is definitely a kind of full moon lunation that one of your children could produce a child, or if you're of childbearing age, you could produce a child, you and your partner. because Jupiter brings fertility and children. And this is you or your partner or your children making babies. Okay. Now, one of the things about this as well is that we do know, of course, that that full moon is in a square to Mars at the time of the lunation, and energetically, that's intense energy. That's a like a need to make a decision or take an action regarding your finances and your resources and your earnings. Okay, so there's a kind of an intensity around here for you. And because Mars says take a decision, make an action plan, go for it. Or there could be some financial challenge with one of your kids and you're giving them support. Just the challenge point there as well. Especially given that the Sun Chiron are in the house of your career dreams and goals and gains and forward looking aspects, there is a fulfilling and a completing and a big light in the fifth house, but also it looks like you're making some big financial decisions around change, right? That's what it looks like to me. Changing of what? Creative projects, entrepreneurial business projects, children relationships, etc. All right. And anything else I want to tell you about for this month? Because I mean, we do have the Mars moving into Leo, of course. And so Mars into the sign of Leo is going to give you a lot of energy and passion and drive and light and excitement regarding getting, writing projects, social media things, traveling. It's good for travel in April. I'll be traveling. Mars will take on the travel agenda for not too long, shorter distance travels, not off to, way far away exotic lands, but getting on those trains, planes, and automobiles. And just be careful because, of course, I wouldn't be traveling in your chart around the 27th of the month or so, the last week of the month of April, because of the opposition to Pluto. So just be a little careful not to travel then. That would be like you end up traveling to the place where the volcano goes off. So just be more cautious about that. And you could harness that willpower, that super strong will to finish a writing project connected to the word publishing at the last week of April as well. But again, I'll be covering this on my weekly astrology videos. And there's already the video for your sign in the description box and pinned to the comments where I cover more in depth how to look at each week for your sign. So get your individual video, half-hour video as well. This is just an overview video. All right. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. I need a sip of my water. Hang on. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. First of all, I have to talk about Mars, even though that's not always the focus. And yes, you have a cosmic green light, as everybody does. We'll get to the green light. But Mars has been moving through your sign for 4 months, right? Since December the 6th. No, January the 6th. And this is not common. So it goes back to 1977, 78 when the kind of vibe happened. So we had a lot of Mars, September, October, then he left in November, December, and then he came back January 6th. So hang in there. You may have hot fevers, rashes. You might have injured yourself with hot water or something, but you may also have been feeling like you want to make decisions and take bold actions. And yet, of course, you're a little hobbled here because Mars, well, he can give you that superpower, is also in a condition of his fall. And so if you waited to make major life decisions, that's probably the best thing. So keep in mind that the backdrop is this story in April changes when Mars goes into Leo. Yay, you, hallelujah. And you begin to get away from the waiting period and into the action. And Mars in the sign of Leo will be a powerful time for making big decisions around money in your life, money, career, earnings, and possessions. So hang in there. You're going to get rid of Mars, and you might have shouted at your spouse and been fuming angry and lost your temper and been very emotional during some of that time. All right, now, next thing I want you to know about is that you're going to have a new beginning or a fresh start with a green light in your ninth house of God, ninth house of churches and mosques and synagogues and spiritual traditions, ninth house of things to do with your publications and book publishing, and maybe even Dharma, path of the most meaningful life that you can operate from, and looking for that true north on the compass. And so certainly, even though Mars is still in Cancer, what we notice is that with Mercury going direct on April 7th and Venus going direct on the 12th, the uncertainty that you've been under since March the 1st, and then with Mercury mid-March, this kind of back to the past, rethinking, uncertainty, revising, stalled, paused energy is ready to move forward with a cosmic green light so you can go forward in meaningful life direction. For some of you, it could be as simple as also going forward on a trip. You wanted to travel somewhere and you've been pondering, hesitating, thinking, revising, maybe false starts. And now you can go forward and book that international trip or take that international trip or seal that deal to do with academic environments, colleges, universities, publications, and book publishing. All systems go. April 7th and then the 12th, Mercury and Venus moving forward finally at last. We have a Saturn North Node conjunction that's building up all April, and it is important because it hasn't happened since 1877 in Pisces inside a tropical zodiac. This is going to activate some destined changes connected to time in the ninth house. And it could say that over time, because this is really a 20-year reset, 12-year reset button, over time, you may decide that you want to follow a new spiritual path, find a new religion, connect to some foreign shore, move or travel or academic environment. So there's a lot about this destiny thing that's beginning to percolate in the month of April. It's going to exact on April 21st. And Saturn can say this is for the long game, the long haul, the marathon. This is nothing to do with one day, but over time and worldly success in book publishing, academia, foreign travel, or just dharmically connecting your career dots so that you feel in alignment with purpose can bring you incredible success over the next 12 years. And the beginning of that shift of navigation is happening in the month of April. Pay attention, definitely pay attention to your dreams before the 7th of April. Before the 7th. Yeah, when Mercury's still retrograde. Those first 7 days, pay attention to your dreams because retrograde Mercury is in a dream house. The ninth house is one of the dream houses. It's the Asclepian temples. And this could really open up profound insights in your dreams, especially with Jupiter in the 12th house. Guru is in home in the house of spiritual liberation. So dreams in that first 7 days of April can be at night. Nocturnal insights can be profound messages from the heavens. So pay attention, take notes, write it down. Big dreams are here for you. Shamanic big dreams are coming in the first week of April. And pay attention because they're giving you true guidance and advice. Jupiter's making sure of it. Now, one of the other elements of the sky where all this is happening in your ninth house could be a sibling relationship, too older than you. And a lot of this intense, destined, fated change energy and green light is connected to the life of a sibling too older than you. Or this is the house of the third marriage, or moving forward in destined ways with the cosmic green light connected to the third marriages, right? Some people have more than one marriage. So your third marriage partner, if you've been married a third time or living with someone long enough to call it a marriage, right? I just think a marriage is like you cohabitate, you've been together for years. It's a marriage. You don't have to have a legal paperwork. All right. That's what I got for you there. There's a Libra moon mid-month. It's going to be pretty intense. It's going to be on the 12th of the month and it's going to be at 23 Libra. I'll be doing a deep dive, but it's in the house of home property, real estate. South Node has been moving through home property, real estate for a year and a half. It ended in January. So all of 24, midway through 2023, you've been almost like pulling up the roots of your childhood trauma, releasing yourself, maybe even getting rid of junk in the house that belonged to family members. You've been like surrendering, releasing, and letting go of your childhood stuff, whether literally your possessions or metaphorically your hangups. Now, after all that house cleaning, some of you may have cleaned up the house and moved because South Node fourth house could have moved some cancers, but it's still playing out because that Libra lunation, right, connects us all the way back to a moon that we had way back in the day, back in October 23. And so there's a sense then that you might be looking at a potential move and change of home in the 6 months that follows the mid-month full moon in Libra. And because it's squaring Mars, you are making those decisions. You are taking grand, bold, maybe emotionally powerful action to make a change of home. Don't expect a change of home in April. Expect a possible change of home stimulated by a full moon and unfolding in the 6 months that follow. That's what I've got for you. That hopefully that makes sense for you. Don't forget, there's a 25 to 30-minute video for your sign already out with much more in-depth detail about everything you should know in the month. Please go check it out. In the description box below is the playlist for all signs for the month, all 12 videos for each sign. Go look at it because you can listen for your sun, moon, and rising and find out what you have ahead of you in much more depth and detail in the month of April. And for Leos, I am taking a chocolate break and I'm going to go get a little hazelnut dark chocolate and I'll be right back. I'm back. I was freezing, so I got a blanket and chocolate. It's not warm in Vancouver. It's raining and it's always damp, right? So it's like that bone chilling cold, like the foggy London or streets or whatever. And when I go off to like other places, like I lived in Montreal for 2 years, we had like snow and it was minus 20 or 30 degrees. It was warmer because it was that more, I don't know, I found Montreal drier than Vancouver. I mean, I know it's got water, but anyway, just yeah, whatever. Let's go ahead and talk about Leo. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Let's get into the sky of this month. Well, first of all, of course, this is an overview. Please go check your deeper dive video. This about 25 minutes long in the playlist, pinned to the comments and below in the description box, because that is where you're going to get more detail about your month ahead. But Leos, in the gist of it, let's talk. Number one, the cosmic green light just means that two planets are finally going direct. And that is, of course, Mercury on the 7th of April, and on the 12th, it will be the direct motion of Venus. And Venus is in your 8th house. And this is money. And this is the money that has to be your taxes and your insurance policies and your credit card and bank loans and mortgages and things to do with the shared resources with a spouse, or royalty income from the book publisher, or inheritance money, all those other people's monies that are unearned income. And that money is activated here because finally you have momentum and forward direction. And maybe before that you didn't. Maybe you were unsure. You're like, what the hell? Should I file XYZ taxes? What's really going on with that insurance payout? What's happening with my investments in the market? That's shareholding in a company, all that good stuff. However, now green light, cosmic green light says, on the 7th, Mercury says yes. And then the 12th, Venus, between the two of them, you're going to go forward here. And money decisions and commercial enterprises to do with financial matters are now green lit. So yes, now you know which direction to go and you're much more clear. And if any of you are thinking of, if any of these money decisions are connecting you to matters to do with your marriage partnerships, because you share your resources there, you and your partner may have some clarity about the money situation as well. Now, one of the things I would mention as well this month is that North Node Saturn, not seen since 1877, combined forces in your 8th house. I'll be doing a much longer video on this, but this is a once in a lifetime, first in a lifetime energy. And so you want to expand your worldly success and financial success in the 8th house of that chunky money. And that could be like investments, retirement planning. It could be stuff to do with stocks. Who knows? I mean, it could be also inheritances, especially with Saturn. Saturn could represent inheritance from an elder, and that Venus could be an elder female. Grandma Jones is going to give you money or whatever, but this energy is there for you. And you may think, oh, it's April 21st. It's exact. No, it's all of April. It's flooding through to mid-March in orb of action. Yet it applies to it in the next 12 years of your life. There's a cosmic reset button, first in a lifetime, about how you handle matters in destined fated ways to do with your 8th house. Now, 8th house is occult mysteries, magic, paranormal, supernatural, the hidden occult arts, tarot, astrology, numerology. Some of you may be called, propelled, or destined to venture forth. And Mercury loves to learn new things about that part of the reality structures that are very important for your career. And again, we'll talk more about that in a deep dive video when I get to it. It's just because this conjunction activates Uranus in the 10th house. And some of you may suddenly give up the ghost and quit your main gig and suddenly become an online tarot reader or something. There's changes wanting to be made here as well. And this is going to set your financial course in a new direction over the next 12 years. So it's not just about this month and into May, right? It's a bigger story. So please like and subscribe so you can catch more guidance about this when I do a very deeper, longer video about it in the month of April. Ultimately, this conjunction, which is occurring on the 21st in a more exactitude, this conjunction of North Node Rahu, it does open up the possibility for you guys of a strong shift of direction when it comes to how you gain career success financially as well. So it's not just about the 401k. Some of you may also change the way in which you earn money, or significantly financially benefit from a sibling one older than you in a destined fated way, not just over the course of April into May, but even for the next few years. All right. So the other thing to note here is certainly that we have a very interesting full moon in Libra at 23 degrees on April 12th, and it's completion and fulfillment energy, right? To fulfill or to complete something. In some ways, it goes very much back to mid-July of 24. I explained this in the beginning, talking about Trump, and it takes you back to October the 14th of 23. The series of moons are all connected, and it is a very strong energy about major fulfillment, completion, and change in your third house. And that's your neighborhood and your neighbors. And it can maybe a connection to change of home and neighborhood, fulfilling something in this month, mid-month, because of the square to Mars at the time, at the end of your 12th house. Some of these changes may also change you to be not just a neighborhood, but a distant shore. So change of home, either neighborhood or even to a distant shore, may begin to open up for you over the course of the middle of April and about a month after. Well, you'll see the fruits of that full moon, but even up to 6 months after. With Chiron and the sun in the ninth house, some of the home changes are healing a chironic wound with father figures, authority figures, and spiritual philosophy and belief. At the same time, it also could shift your property, home, and where you are living. So there's many layers to this story, very many layers to this story around April 12th. And ultimately, with the movement of Mars into your sign on the 18th of April through to mid-June, you begin to be very powerful at taking decisions and making actions that you were contemplating, especially November 3rd to January 6th. And then you paused and we've been rethinking it. But now, if you want to make decisions around changing your home, Mars rules your fourth house, or changing your career, or changing your relationship to a significant other, all of those things become very well activated in a very strong and powerful way. That's what I'll say. Activated in a strong and powerful way, courtesy of that beautiful movement of Mars into your sign, where you become an action warrior hero with great spiritual zeitgeist, because you got a nice flow from Neptune to get what you want going in life. And then, it could even be a change of home connected to father figures, but also to academic environments. So many ways it could go. We'll be covering that in a deep dive for that lunation, which is why when you like and subscribe and all of that stuff, then you're here to get the wave of information I have for you for each full and new moon every month. And lastly, Leo, one more thing. You're not going to be able to heal a chironic wound connected to father figures or something to do with authority figures like this again in your lifetime. And so it's this Chiron Sun conjunction. There's also going to be very much about what this month wants you to pay attention to in some way, or, to note and take note. You're on notice. Okay. You're on notice to take a note. And because we end up with a moon at the end of the month as well, the new moon in Taurus changes your career direction, changes your home and career direction, potentially both. So there's a lot of shifts on the angles for you this month. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear back from you in the comments. So Virgos, so many of you in my life. Let's start off with this sort of cosmic green light to move ahead at last, as both Venus and Mercury go forward from retrogradation in your seventh house of significant long-term committed love, business partnerships, deals, audience, clients, and the public that you deal with in your career. Now, because Mercury has been retrograde since mid-March and the beginning of April, March 1st for Venus, now you're going to find that you have the capacity to go ahead with that relationship in destined fated ways. Now, it's a tricky business when it's a seventh house activation. It could even be that your significant main long-term love partner is going through a major time of where they had a lot of uncertainty, especially regarding career ambition and goals. They are now able to move forward in lucky fated ways. And so they may be having some major choices and changes in their life. Also connected to Jupiter, maybe changes in their life connected to homeland, property, and real estate matters. So it may not all be about you. Right? It could be about them. So if it is about you, it's about how you guys relate to each other. And so there's going to be where there has been backtracking, rewinding, stalling out, you're going to go forward. And of course, you may have heard from former lovers and long-term partners from the past with the Venus retrograde there, all of March into April 12th, but no longer are those old relationships coming out of the woodwork. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but some of you probably noticed that. If you want to sign a legal contract or document, or you're thinking of doing anything to do with property sale and purchase, we'll get to why in a minute, then those things may have been stalled, forestalled, or unsure. Now you can go forward successfully in those areas as well. Just to note that, right? Now, there is this energy coming through the sky of not seen since 1877, resetting your karmic story in your 7th house. That is Saturn co-joined with the North Node in a way we haven't seen since then in this part of the sky. This is going to allow for a navigational change of direction when it comes to committed long-term love. It doesn't have to be that you're in a relationship. If you're single, that it's going to change how you enact relationships in the future, how you move into them, what you want to achieve in them. Technically, North Node Saturn could indicate you want to be with wealthy, ambitious, successful people who are mature and spiritually wise. You know, Saturn could do that with Rahu, North Node. Or it could mean that you want to be in relationships that have legs to stand on, to go the distance, that are exalted, higher love, Venus. Right? If you are not liking the relationship you're in and you feel it's not right for you, or you know that and you haven't been stuck, well, certainly the combination of green light, go forward, Mercury and Venus, and they're going into the house of shared assets and resources where the chironic wound is sitting with the sun. And this is a sky that tells me some of you may indeed be getting ready to terminate a relationship in order to then begin to separate out financially from that person. Just possible, not necessarily your personal story, but destined change that's fated so that you can go the distance in a long-term relationship, or begin to get new relationships in your life for the long term in ways that you've never had before. Exalted Venus is higher love, Saturn is enduring love, and North Node is destined love. So there's shifts in how you love and who you love coming through the sky. Venus rules marriage, technically, and this could indicate a move towards consolidating your relationship into a legally binding marriage. This could also mean that Venus being connected to fertility and Saturn ruling your 5th house of children, that you are about to have children with a significant long-term love partner, if that's a possibility for your age group. And so you will maybe see evidence of this emerging in the month of April, as the North Node and Saturn are co-joined all of the month of April until mid-May. Although this is also saying this is a new direction we want you to go. So say you were with somebody for the last 10 years and you're in your 30s. Now this would begin a new phase of the relationship to get married or to have children. So you can see new beginnings are coming through the sky here. Now I'm making myself a sorry, honestly, but I just need to be warmer. What I want to also point out is the Libra moon in the middle of the month. We'll be doing a deep dive video, but it's pretty powerful. 23 degrees of Libra, there is a full moon. Libra, of course, for you is your money house and earnings house. And this could end up meaning a completion, change, and end in a blessed, fortunate way of a job. Jupiter is blessing this moon. Yet with Mars in a square, there may be firing, severing, and cutting. You might not have a choice. Maybe the job will be taken from you. That's okay if that happens. It's something better is coming. Or you quit the job, right? You're just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Or you could have some tension here too with some of your friendship groups and circles as well. So, and some financial changes that are rather abrupt or startling or emotional in your finances connected to work. That full moon is happening, as I said, on the 12th, but it can fulfill itself with evidence as to what it's about in the month that follows, but also over the 6 months that follow as well. With the moon opposite Chiron and the sun in the 8th house, there may be some major changes in your life financially connected to father figures and health challenges for them, especially with Mars moving on April the brain 18th into your house of hospitals. And so therefore, father figures, hospitals, chunks of money. These are themes that could be emerging for you in the second half of the month of April. Depends, of course, on your age. Father figures is the sun Chiron wound in the 8th house, right? So when I say father figures, it could be, anybody, guys. It doesn't have to be your dad, right? Uncle Joe, Grandpa Jim, or something. Take your pick. And sometimes you consider your mother a father figure. So you know what I'm saying, right? If she's the boss and that's your father figure. So something along those lines. Alrighty, what else? And just know that you're divinely protected at the top of the sky by Jupiter, keeping you as healthy as he can, no matter what happens to you with that South Node transit through to June the 9th. And with Jupiter up here as well, trying to find you soft landings and safe places to go when it comes to your career and reputation. So that prevails to June the 9th and continues to give you power and goodness. And if you've been trying to quit any kind of addictive substance abuse, I really like the end of April for you. Basically, I'd say April the 18th to the end of April, Mars begins to oppose Pluto and the axis of addiction, self-undoing. And this is really a powerful willpower or ambition or success in the severing, ending, and completing of those addictions and self-undoings and substance abuse and misuse disorders, or just your own sabotaging behavior. Yeah, it's like this is a long video. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Am I only halfway through? I need another bit of chocolate. If you're a Libra, you're looking for that equilibrium in life, balance, and striving. And I probably will just remind you that there's a full moon in your sign this month. But let's go back to the beginning. We start off with the idea that you have a kind of green light, all systems go, move forward, 2 thumbs up. That happens when both Mercury goes direct on April 7th and then Venus on April 12th in the house of job, work, career, and like job, work, and health matters, pets and rentals. So you wanted to get a pet, you wanted to get a rental property agreement, you wanted to make a change in your job situation, you wanted to do some health improvements, and everything's been kind of like maybe yes, wishy-washy, back and forth, stalled out, revision, revise. And now you go, okay, wait. Now I know what I need to do here. I'm going to go forward. Mars is slicing through your 10th house, which is quit your job quits you, sever, cut, and end, or you're going to engage some kind of emotional passion. But with a fallen Mars up here for 4 months, a lot of you have been thinking about how to exit your current job in some fundamental way or career path. Now, this is going to open up the possibility of forward momentum starting April 7th and even more so April the 12th. And now you've got this like cosmic green light to quit your job, apply for a new job, determine that you want to succeed in this job, but you know the new strategy you need to make. You're clear about it, right? Especially because then Mars will go into the gains house, career gains house, and passionately be there from April 18th to mid-June. So there's decisions you're making around the career. So when you put all that energy into the gains and try to hustle your ass off to be successful, you're actually doing it from a place of going in the right direction. There's nothing worse than climbing atop of a mountain and realize it's the wrong one. So Mars is giving you some kind of strategic clarity in April, so that when we go April 18th to June 18th or so, 17th, all this hard work, all this ambition in the career earnings 11th house is worth it for you, is worth it. Now, also happening here is that the South Node is going to meet with Saturn around the 21st of April in your 6th house, last seen in 1877. This is important because, first of all, this is the axis of karmic debt and karmic stories. And so Saturn is the lord of time and karma, and North Node is fated and destined energy, and Venus is exalting you. So there's exalted, powerful changes in your health and work coming through the sky, and maybe a sudden unexpected pet opportunity, but coming through the sky. That's going to be playing out all of April into mid-May, but you feel it kind of hits the mark, so to speak, in the 3rd week of April. This is a navigational sea change for the next 12 years. You're going to go in a new direction that's destined. You're going to cement exalted work and career success in a new direction that you have yet to experience in this lifetime. Your ambition and material success are guaranteed with Venus Saturn over time. North Node is the ambition striving, sometimes greed. Be careful. You want to keep yourself true, honest, and balanced, but there's like a new enduring long game success in work and the material gains that come from that success story. Now, Saturn is a grim reaper, and if there's anything to do with a destined ending in a karmic relationship, it doesn't have to be love. Indeed, it probably isn't in this chart. With Venus sitting there, it could be a destined karmic ending of some kind, but in more of a relationship to financial matters. She rules your eighth house. So I don't think this is about long-term love stories. With this chart, it's about something else, completing, ending, and severing something. And because Venus is a ruler of your first house, which is your body, and she's in the house of health, destined changes in the way you operate in life, they could put you into health jeopardy. So you're shifting those gears as well in April, for sure. The Libra full moon is another indication of changes towards health and healthcare. Well, the Libra full moon on the 12th of April at 23 degrees of Libra is going to activate Chiron, the wounded healer, but also things to do with medicine. And this could mean like you could come into contact with a new healer, like a new, I don't know anything, guys, a chiropractor, a dietitian, an acupuncturist. You may be calling in healing modalities and healers, guides, mentors, and shamans into your life off of the full moon on April the 12th. Give it a month that follows to see who that and what that might be, but it influences your life for 6 months after. Now, calling on healing practitioners to support you is one good thing you can do with this. However, because this is a full moon, it reflects a wounded relationship. And so a wounded relationship to your significant other, to a business partner. And so you may be making some major changes in the way you interact with significant others in what you would call business, love, partners that could be in a state of woundedness, like they have a wound, the relationship feels wounded, and you want to make a difference there by making changes, because it squares Mars this moon in your 10th house. And that means that you could also be making some very significant changes in your career, right? Because Mars would cut and sever, but in relationship to fulfillment of something, fullness. If you go back and you think about your career stories, for example, and your relationship stories, business and love, to 2023, October, and even a little bit like July of 2024. Where were you feeling the wound in relationship, business partner relationship, or work and career, or reputation matters? Because it salted in those wounds, or salt in those wounds. And now this fulfillment full moon is going to complete something, fulfill something, and complete the story, so you know which direction to go. So a relationship could collapse under this in business or love. A career direction may be exited and legal contracts breached as you end the job, quit the job, maybe ahead of schedule, for example, if you've been thinking of it. So keep that in mind and let me know later on how it goes. I'd love to hear back from you. And any of you looking for a pet, you may get an unexpected change of pet in this month ahead. I won't go all into it. It has to do with a lot of factors, but stay tuned. But my weekly astrologies will tell you more. So every week I do an all signs astrology about the major transits. So make sure you subscribe and know that your individual all signs videos are 25 minutes long. There's a playlist to capture what I said for your sign in a 25-minute blow by blow for the month of April. Please go check that playlist out where you can listen to sun, moon, and rising signs. So go find it in my description box and pinned to the comments. It is time for another break. I think I'm going to get an apple. I am so cold. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm back on my blankie. Let's get going. Let's do the next sign. All right. I had a really delicious organic gala apple, just so you know. Now, so one of my followers said something about they tried one of my favorite cheese. I get a fresh, beautiful organic date. I love a particular brand. They're very luscious, and not the one in Whole Foods usually. And then take some grass-fed cheddar and then put it in the middle of the date, right? Take the pit out, put it in, and just eat it. And you're going to be like in heaven. All right. So that's another great midday snack. Moving on to Scorpios. First of all, Scorpio people, let's talk about cosmic green light energy, where you've been held back since March 1st and then mid-March, couldn't get your forward mojo stalling out in your 5th house. This is children, fun, romance, play, creativity, all kind of on hold, maybe just in revision, like an artistic creative project, entrepreneurial business direction, having to go into revisionary and rethinking mode. And that's okay. But you'll notice that on the 7th of April and then the middle of April on the 12th, things are just like gangbusters starting to move forward, and you're getting unstuck and things are starting to flow. And that's an important word for you, because this is a flowing water trine of good energy, looking back at your Scorpio identity, sun, moon, and rising, and giving you a good wink nod. Yes, let's move forward. Things are easy, flowing, graceful, and finally, you know the direction to go in. So if it comes to matters to do with romantic love, and you've been like hearing from all the old lovers from the past, or you're single, this romantic flow, go with the flow movement could bring in a new love story, could clear up some old hurts from the past with other lovers, and now you're ready to move forward, embrace love. Fertility stories with Venus here. Yes. So maybe a stall on getting pregnant, or you and your partner conceiving a child, or maybe lots of conversations rethinking the plan. Mercury retrograde here. Now you have a forward momentum and you know where to go. Leisure, romantic travel is a fifth house journey, and you may have leisure, romantic travel plans finally stabilized, move forward. Things are going forward at last in this regard. So there's a lot of forward momentum in those areas, and you're just going to find girls just want to have fun. You're going to have more fun again, starting about mid-April onwards to the end of the month. And when you got, Mercury going forward, Venus going forward, all systems go. One of the other elements going on here for you is that the North Node and Saturn are co-joined in your fifth house, seen in 1877. And so here we have a once and first in a lifetime karmic reset button. And this kind of karmic reset button does not happen in this life again for most of you. It's next in like the 90s, So from here, 2090s, that sounds so weird to say, doesn't it? So if you're an artist, a creative, an entrepreneur, a performer, an actor, some, muse inspired type person, then this is important, because this is like a new beginning, a fated next direction for the next 12 years. Now it will say the following themes: exalted Venus, super success in the creative, artistic, and entrepreneurial fields. Number 2, long game, strategy, over time, wisdom. Saturn is like, structures that take time to build. The pyramids weren't built in a day, you're going to build this over time. But then North Node Rahu says worldly success. So through long, enduring, applied effort over the next, several years, you may be very successful here. And that includes being an entrepreneur. Now, this also could be about destined, fated children. So you don't have children yet. Then this is about the quality of the children you're going to conceive over the next 12 years, because this is like exalted Venus, high love, enduring, lasting, fated, destined, right? Those are the kinds of souls that are coming through for you here in conceiving children in your life, whether you're the guy or the girl. It's just this is where the children sit in the chart. With Jupiter witnessing it from the 8th house, you could also argue some children born to you are reincarnated family members, ancestors of you or your significant other, possibly. If you are somebody who does speculation, you do gambling, right? And that can include risky stock investments, right? This is the 5th house of good fortune, but it also can find money fortune, and it also connects to good luck, especially when it comes to speculation. And so now you've got sort of a luck signature for worldly success through speculation, investments, gambling, you know what I mean? As well as your creative, artistic, and entrepreneurial stories. When Jupiter baked into the 8th house, there also is a potential for a fated, destined financial chunk of money coming to you, coming off of this April's journey of Saturn and North Node. Now they're exact on the 21st, but you're feeling it April 4th through to mid-May. And so there could be a beginning of a lot more money in your life, maybe connected to inheritances, especially with Pluto trining Jupiter in your 8th. So there's some of you may be receiving family of origin legacy money in April into May as a result of this. But the longer story is like a ship on an ocean. This navigational energy of North Node Saturn wants to change the direction of your life over the long haul when it comes to creativity, love, fun, play, pleasure, children, family, romance. A single Scorpio is looking for love. Well, this could bring a destined, fated, exalted love story into your life. And in that case, April into mid-May, you might see evidence of that to be true. So watch for that as well. We'll be doing a deep dive video into this, so stay tuned for that. And just know that your All Signs monthly video is already out, and there's a playlist connection to getting that content of your 25 minutes for the month, just all about you. It's already out now on my channel, so go check it out. Click the link for the playlist in the description box below the video, and also in the comments below the video. I think that also the other thing I want you to be aware of is that Mars transit for like ever in your ninth house was trying to benefit you, but Mars has fallen. You know, you haven't seen that since 77, 78. Mars up here, September, October, and then back again, January, February, March into mid-April, has been trying to orient you towards something that is alignment with Dharma purpose. You know, what are you here for? You know, it's not about chasing the paper. Like, what does your soul want you to be doing? What are you truly here for? What is your, you know, unique talents and gifts? Why are you incarnated? You know, a Dharma call, a beacon of I need divine purpose and meaning has been trying to passion up in your ninth house. On a dumb note, like my son has been struggling getting his Canadian citizenship certificate to renew his passport because it was stolen from his car. He's born in New York City, so now we're Canadian. So it's been an ordeal of struggling with Mars for passports. This is a very dumb way of looking at Mars in the ninth house of visas, right? But in a bigger sense, there's a total deeper energy about aligning with one's calling. And that's one of the things that you're still feeling through till April the 18th. And then on April the 18th, Mars goes into your 10th house. And for 2 months, you're passionately engaged in career success and potentially making changes of job as well. Now, there is a full Libra moon on the 12th of April. And why we want to talk about that moon is it's squaring Mars. So a full moon in the sign of your 12th house, squaring Mars in your 9th house, opposite Chiron sun in the 6th house. Father figure sick and hospitals. One thought. Major decision, action, critical turning points coming through April 12th. Add a month after, because it's, you know, the moon can show you the hand, you know, the poker hand, and up to 6 months later, major changes in work connected to distant shores and foreign lands. Some of you may be getting employed by a company in another country. Some of you may be traveling to or moving to another place to live, another foreign shore for work opportunities, etc. If you're in a school setting, academics, or you want to be, major changes in your academic majors, academic settings connected to long-range goals and dreams and plans connected to career and purpose. Those are other things that may be going on. But this moon is an important moon because it will take you back to October of 23, July of 24, and this time now. There's 3 stepping stones in the shadows of the moon way of looking at it that I indicated how to understand that in the introduction to this video when we talk about the Trump story. And the last thing I'd say for a Scorpio, with Venus and Mercury moving into your 6th house this month, after April 7th, after mid-April for Venus, if you've been thinking of a pet, wanted a pet, or wanted to change your home because you want to rent a property out or rent your own property out, then second half of April opens those doors up for those things to be a big yes for you. Okay. So there you go. So I'm hoping you Scorpios have an amazing month. Go check the longer video for your sign. You'll get a lot more content and detail there. Well, and if you sign up for subscribe to my channel and put the notifications bell on, you'll get even more notices for those deep dives into the moons and also the weekly forecast for your sign. All right, so now we're moving into the next sign, and the next sign is Sagittarius. So you're a fire sign, Sag. Welcome to the Fire Club. I'm Aries, and we're going to have an interesting month. I want you to know you're coming off the end of that fire eclipse at 29 on the 29th of the month at 9 degrees of Aries. It must be noted that you're still feeling the aftermath of that, but it's positive for you. And a lot of Sages are feeling there's going to be a shift or a fulfillment or a change or an ending in a relationship of romantic love, or in creative projects and entrepreneurial businesses, but also maybe new beginnings. It depends on whether you're with someone now or not, but faded new beginnings and endings in love and love stories are there for a lot of Sages. Well, now moving away from the past into this month of April. One thing you want to be aware of here is that you have a cosmic green light, 2 thumbs up go, time to go forward. When it comes to matters of consideration regarding homeland, property, real estate, mother, hometown, homeland, fourth house matters. Mercury direct April 7th, Venus direct April the 12th. Some of you may, under this kind of condition with Rahu here, want to move to another country and live in a foreign land. It would not surprise me. So there's things you have been pondering, considering, nail biting, lots of retrogradation here, all of March and mid-May. It was, Venus, Mercury retrograding from your fourth to your fifth. And this energy is rare. Back in 2017, Venus was doing this. And, it's like you want to find joy, romance, pleasure, maybe children, like fertility, but connected to home changes and decisions around your home. Now, it could just be a small change. It could be with Rahu, who represents the outcast or the foreigner. It could be a very massive change of home. And so you'll be able to make those decisions and know directions to go after finally, mid-April, where the cosmic green light lights up for you. At the same time, you'll notice that the North Node and Saturn are together here. The North Node and Saturn together in your fourth house last happened in 1877. So obviously it's a first and last in a lifetime for most of us. So you're going to set your sails on a new course in the Pisces sky. And your new course has to do with where you live. Most often, this is just your home. So you're going to change your home, but you may notice that in April, this energy is building up. April 4th, and it's exact around April 21st, and that begins to wear off by mid-May. This is a window of time in which fated, destined changes towards an exalted home are coming for you. Do you know where your home will be? Probably not. Life will show you the way. You might think you want to move down the street and you move to another country. That kind of thing is happening here. And you may also feel the wave of destiny playing out here, because this will inform your life for the next 11, 12 years. So it's not like just a minor change. It's a big change. And with the energy of Mars in your eighth house until the middle of the month on the 16th, some of this change can also involve changing your home connected to separation of assets in a separation, divorce, or end of a relationship. Okay, that's possible. Mars is cutting through the shared resources house and has been doing so for almost 4 months, including September, October. And there may be disputes with the money you share with a significant other. And Jupiter retrograding there for many, many months as well. So a lot of you are under kind of a lot of intensity in an existing relationship regarding staying going, living together, resources, etc. Some of you, though, if you're single, this is not that story. But then you may be changing your direction of where you live because you want to sell a property or buy a property as well. And you'll get clarity April and May around what to do with that thing. By April the 18th, you know the lay of the land. And finally, then, with that North Node Saturn energy down here, I find that can look like you've been melancholic, alone, and sad in your home, but a North Node can intensify that. And Venus is the saving grace. So instead of I'm alone, I'm melancholic, I'm sad, and I'm lonely, can you shift your gears here to something better? I am finding my inner joy by moving away from my childhood wounds and moving away from my mother's stories and moving into something brand new, something satisfying. And it will look like how you cultivate your authentic enjoyment and joy in and around and from your home, being at home with yourself, you know what I mean? And who you are. Because a lot of that cutting that Mars is doing from the eighth house can cut away karmic and childhood and ancestral stories that have been binding you in some way that you were not conscious of till now. Well, we have a Libra moon on April the 12th. It is full, and it is going to connect you to themes of the fall of 2023, and July of 2024. And that full moon is going to light up your 11th house of good spirit. And this is a very positive house. And this moon is shining very brightly up at the top of your sky. And when it does this big, bold shining of the light, so to speak, it also is going to end up being square Mars in your 8th house. And of course, the Sun Chiron in your 5th house. So there's a big change going on here. Full moons are completions and endings. So a completion and ending of over the course of the month that follows the mid-month moon and even into the 6 months that linger afterward, a completion and ending of a financial situation with a romantic partner, a completion and ending of friendship circles and groups of belonging that no longer work for you as you cut out the karmic cords that bind you to people who aren't right for you, a full fulfillment or a completion or an ending of a dream, a goal you had for your life, especially in Libra. It could be around one-on-one relationship and you're ready to let that dream go. Because Mars is squaring from the karmatic 8th house, but yet angling to the 5th and the 11th, you're looking at money energies activated, a fulfilling completion of something connected to financial matters in your life, especially with money that comes from banks, mortgages, investments, retirement funds, and separation agreements and relationships. All full moons are revealing to you something you need to see. You're having revelations regarding your long-range goals and dreams for your life. You're able to see more clearly ahead what it is you wish to experience in life. And Mars is just cutting the karmic dross away that holds you back from those goals and dreams. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. There's people walking on my roof. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first, you need to understand that I'm only giving you an overview. So if you want to get the deep dive for your month ahead, you just definitely want to check the playlist for all signs, where there's 25 minutes for your sign, and you can listen for sun, moon, and rising. I'll pin the playlist to the comments and in the description box under the video, under the more button. So first of all, if you are into, okay, let's get it down. If you've been like on the fence, if you've been struggling to make decisions or take actions, the cosmic green light is here regarding forward momentum, regarding travel, writing and communicating, sibling relationships, neighbors and neighborhood. Mercury and Venus have been retrograding throughout the 4th house, 3rd house. Some of you know you need to change your neighborhood. You've been going through all kinds of indecision since March 1st and then mid-May about home, about rent, about property, about neighbors, aunts, uncles, cousins, and nephews. And a lot of this is going to look very residential for most of you, like where should I be living? And so there's a lot of like back and forth within yourself. And you may have heard from, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, people you grew up with. You haven't heard from them in years. Friends from high school, that kind of thing. All these people came back to your life March, and then mid-March, because of retrograde Mercury, retrograde Venus. Now, all of that is done, and now you have to go forward again. You have to figure out what to do, because now you can do it, because nothing's retrograde motion puts a pause button into our lives, uncertainty, unsuredness. Now they're moving forward. The past is behind you, and you may be looking at residential changes of property and moving your home, especially if it regarding move of home that's more domestic or within your country, not usually abroad with this kind of chart. Now, that said, if you have a lot of communication and dialogue that's been going back and forth between you and a sibling, you and your cousins and uncles and nieces and nephews, then that's also now going to stop, and all the back and forth is going to come to a completion as well. Something that will be resolved or figured out here. So there's good news. What I also could say is that you have the energy of Mars traveling through your 7th house forever, separating you, cutting and slicing through long-term committed love and business partnerships. Since January 6th, and before that, September, October. There's a lot about this very rare transit of Mars that suggests that you or your partner are trying to make decisions about whether this is a viable relationship. I don't care if you've been married for 80 years or you just started dating. There's lots of uncertainty and decision-making going on. And so this is an interesting time when Mars will move on the 18th of the month into the 2-month stay in your 8th house of chunky money. For married Capricorns, it's all about you get the sofa, I get the bed, you get the dog, I get the car. If you're not married, it's just like, okay, well, how do we end this on a good note? Is it a karmic completion or something like that? One thing is that if you look at the North Node and Saturn, not seen since 1877, joining together on April 21st in your third house, feeling this from April 4th to mid-May, by the way, that this is going to be a shift for the next 11 years of your life. And because it's also involving a trine to Mars in the beginning of the story, right? When Mars is still through to the April 18th in your seventh house, some of you may be changing your location of residence connected to business partnership agreements or opportunities. Now, that could be true for you, for some of you. The other element here is, of course, a change of home because of marital separations. With this energy of the North Node and Saturn together in Venus, exalted, it's along the lines of you got this energy coming in of exalted success and power in marketing, selling, buying, writing, communicating, social media sphere, connected to endurance, long game, structure, and form, connected to destined success in material realms. So no complaints there. This is like lifting you up to new levels of success. Who doesn't want new levels of success in the third house? So all you writers, marketers, sellers, if you're ambitious, if your job has ever been to market and sell and you want to do that, this is going to succeed. But it's also social media. It's also the landscape of your writing and communicating projects. So it's a nice escalation, and brick and mortar businesses can also be in the third house as well. It's a lot of the next 11 years of your life are being reset around the third house. We will be doing a deeper dive into this when I cover this, but it's also connected with Jupiter witnessing from the sixth house work opportunities as well. A lot of you are making changes in the domestic environment with work opportunities, but also when it comes to property change, rental opportunities. This does not necessarily point straight away to purchasing a home. So this could indicate the beginning of a shift to a new home as a tenant landlord situation emerges for you. Now, the other thing to notice is that we have a Libra moon coming up on the 12th, and this is full at 23 Libra in your 10th house. Your 10th house is the career, the reputation. A big full light is shining, a revealing light there. Now recognize that in 2023 October, and then in July of 24, and now this moon are all interconnected. And this Libra part of your sky keeps pointing to you want to make some changes in your career space and reputation space. And including, by the way, if you're married, your marital status, because this is your reputation. I'm married, I'm divorced. And you've been pondering these changes that long, since fall of 23. Now, South Node had been going through Libra, right, until January of this year. So mid-23 till January of 25. This has been asking you to surrender, let go, and release that reputation, that career, that relationship if needed, whatever. The reputation space was like leaking out. And so now this full moon is kind of a completion of what started in the October timeframe of 23 with the first eclipse in Libra. What is it saying? It's saying, well, I'm squaring Mars. And Mars is in the house of marriage. Mars is the house of business partners, audience, and marketplace. Cut and sever square. Decisions, actions, changes. You're making a change in your career, and you're breaking contracts to do so. You're making major changes and completions in long-term committed love and relationships. These are things that can occur as a result of the moon on the 12th of April. Give the moon at least a month to show you some of this is true, and up to 6 months to complete the story. It's not a one and done, right? No moons are. They're always a 6 months, storyline. People get confused about that. They think it's all going to happen at once, and it's not true. So a moon is not the day of the moon, even the week of the moon. It's much longer synodic cycles. So you have to contend with that longer story. Basically, with Jupiter in your sixth house trining that moon, it's going to look like a job opportunity for some of you. And so if you're looking for work or jobs, this can bring you an incredible opportunity. Hang on, I need to look for something, my mouse. Okay, hang on, I'm getting a signal flare from my mouse on my computer. I don't know why. Okay, fixed it. It's like, whatever. My mouse is flashing. And so what I want you to do is be confident about job and work opportunities off the full moon. Yes, you could quit a job you don't like, but you can equally get a new one. And the beginning of that mid-April at a month, evidence will show up for that for you. Now, I'm just going to take a quick pause, and I'll be right back. I need some more water. I'm rehydrated, and we're going to finish this baby up. It seems like I've been here for about 20 years. Please like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell, guys. It really is worth it. Yes, it's like being a rat in a treadmill over here. I need my dopamine hit. Please subscribe. So let's move into Aquarius. I am one of you. I have an Aquarius rising. You can listen for sun and moon. Just remember that your all signs video is already out, and it is a 25-minute deep dive into your month ahead for this month of April. And it is just all about you. Check in my description box, the pinned playlist, and in the comments below. Now, let's go and talk about this story. Whew. It's a big month for us. So, especially because of the Mars Pluto opposition, which we'll get to in a minute. Then we'll leave that for last. Save the best for last. Number one, because Venus has been hanging out in retrograde, and so has Mercury, in the second house of voice, vocation, calling, food style, and earnings, there's a lot going on where you've been in a condition of uncertainty. And some of that it has to do with, Venus is like, is this money joyful? Or is it joyful earnings? Is it pleasurable? She's exalted here. Or is the food style working for you in the way you really want it to? And is there anything you want to give up that could be better for your health? Saturn rules your 12th house of undoing. And so you've been going through this kind of like back and forth, all of March into April, mid-April. And then cosmic green light is kicking off April 7th, April the 12th, as you get real bold clarity about which direction to go with what you eat, how your face is appearing, including dental work or facial procedures, with things to do with full bold goes, all systems go. And in the second house with spending money and what you need to possess and buy, but also with the way you earn money and resource your savings. So a lot of this energy is putting you in a condition of positivity around that money and that financial story. And so you may find yourself going through a period then by mid-April of clarity and, wow, now I want to buy this, I want to spend that, I want to save that, I want to make the money this way. And boy, I'm having fun. A lot of clarity emerging here for most Aquarians. And if you've been back and forth like me with the wine lover's middle way, not enough wine, too much wine, no wine, abstinence on wine. I did another alcohol reset program by Annie Grace. I'm like, I couldn't even get to the meetings. I was too busy with my work, her live reset program. And a lot of this back and forth, that's retrograde Venus, retrograde Mercury. I've done those kinds of programs before. So if those of you working on the rehab thing, you've been back and forth for the last, 6 weeks, then all systems go, forward momentum, know what you want, know what you need. And that's exciting. So we get to move forward. And it's very good for forward money momentum mid-April onward. Now, one of the other cool things about the month is that we see Jupiter witnessing the Saturn conjunction to the North Node. We haven't seen that happen since 1877, where the North Node Saturn co-joined in Pisces. And therefore, it's first and once in a lifetime. I'll be doing a deep dive video with more details, so subscribe to my channel because this is very important. There's a karmic sea change, a destined fated change in your second house. It has to do with prosperity, money, earnings, and resources. North Node expands material success. Venus is exalted here. It's beyond measure. And then we add Saturn over time, discipline, and structure, because Saturn is containment and like a containment fence for the material resources. This is like me incorporating a year ago, but then might be another structure. Maybe I'm going to get a shell company in Bermuda, but there's more structures for long-term prosperity emerging here. And even though this is exact on April 21st, you feel it April 4th to mid-May. It's in orb, 3-degree orb. And so there's a sense of fated destined change. Now look, Saturn can be hardship and hard work and discipline. And then North Node can make you even more focused on money in a hardworking, disciplined way. Saving grace is Venus adding joy, play, fun, pleasure, and exaltation here, giving us a clue that this is not as difficult as all that after all. And your voice is here. And so your voice is exalted, an exalted voice, vocation, and calling. Your voice, vocation, and calling is being exalted by Venus with worldly success. When? April? No, it's a reset button that comes into being over 11 years after. It's not just the day or the month of the conjunction. So it's a new sea change of a ship on the sea taking a tidal shift turn, like 33 degrees and missing the iceberg and hitting the Bahamas shore, that kind of thing, especially in Pisces. Jupiter witnesses this conjunction from the 5th house of entrepreneurship, money luck, like winning the lottery, gambling and winning. So there is a potential for this to open up in April into mid-May, some financial winning of some sort, like a chunk of gain of some kind. And with the South Node up there and coming off of an eclipse that happened in Virgo last month, it indicates the same story, a sudden chunk of money in a destined fated way connected to karma, coming at you in a karmic dharmic way that you're meant to have that money. So some of you may come into a chunk of money in April into mid-May, and that wouldn't surprise me off of this as well. And it's not a guarantee. This is a general bell curve astrology. And one of the things I'd say about Venus here at the end of the day, this is your facial appearance. Saturn represents old, Venus is beauty, old beauty. And I'm an old beauty. So if you want to consider, I don't care if you're 30s, 30-year-olds are always looking at their crow's feet going, oh my God, my 20-year-old daughter looks at her wrinkles. What's happened to our world? It's Instagram filters and reels, but there's a tendency here for this to mean enduring beauty, facial beauty, long game beauty, or just the beauty of aging. And so a lot of you, it depends on your age, will come into a greater harmony, a greater ease, and a greater satisfaction with your physical facial appearance. But this doesn't preclude a nose job, a blepharoplasty, or teeth being done. I've never had anything done, but you could do that because Venus exalts you here and bakes in a kind of vibe of safety, enduring long-lasting improvement of facial appearance over the next 12 years. I notice when I don't drink alcohol, I look younger. So you don't have to actually change your face physically with surgery. No. Now, one of the things about this could also indicate a change of home with sudden exciting directions, right? Because as these two come together, a possession is a home. The second house is what you possess. And because Uranus is shocking and surprising stuff, including on a well star, there may indicate here for some of us a change of home with financial resources to afford it in a surprising, exciting way, coming into the month of April into mid-May. There is Mars flowing to the node of fate and Venus, indicating positive new directions with exalted gains by a shift in your work, a change of work. You might quit something you're doing. You might you might walk away from something, or it might quit you, right? I could definitely quit clients. And I said that earlier for my Aries part of this. I think I'm going to stop seeing as many clients. I mean, I keep tapering back, and then even though I keep a few, I want to do less and less. I want to start writing. I want to do other things that are intriguing to me. And so after 5 years, 6 years of, thousands and thousands, that's an example for me as Aquarius. You might want to quit a job, a vocational path, something wants to be let go of here in order for the career gains to increase by letting go of what is no longer right for you in the job of service and work. Finally, I would also add to that a little bit that Mars moving into your seventh house, into Leo for 2 months, starting on the 18th of April. It's really hard on long-term love relationships, committed love. Mars has got a sword and he's cutting through there. So this very fragile time, mid-April, like April 18th to mid-June for those longer-term relationships. And if you're like me online, the trolls are coming out of the woodwork. So we're going to get to that in a minute. After the moon, I want to talk about the Pluto-Mars opposition. Libra, full moon, 23 degrees, squaring Mars in Cancer. So this is an important story that began in October of 23. It hit a nice highlight in July 14th of 2024. And here's the grand finale of a full moon, full light, full moon eclipse in your ninth house of third marriages, third long-term committed love partnerships, completion, endings, and fulfillments, of academic environments, of visas and passports in foreign lands, of publishing and book publishing and contracts. So Libra is always about the contractual agreement. So this could be a book publishing contract, fulfillment. So for instance, in July of 24, an agent named Eileen got in touch with me from New York, and she's a real agent, and she wants me to publish an astrology book, and I'm supposed to do the book proposal. So this is very much connected to those kinds of stories. But you'll notice that there's something that wants to be full, so it can reveal something, but also complete in the next 6 months after that in your ninth house. Now, a revealing quality for every full moon must be accounted for, but what is revealed leads to cutting, ending, and severing. So there's a quality with Mars squaring this, that because you see something clearly, you exit, it cuts, it ends something. But also, and that could be connected to job, but also to relationship. And so this full moon on April 12th becomes very, very critical for long-term relationships and the chopping block, so to speak. But fret not, Jupiter is flowing to that moon from the house of good things happening, fortune, and even including romance. In some ways, it could be one relationship has to exit so a new one can come in, right? So, you have space for something new. This could be a moon that asks you to spend some time abroad. And it's funny because in July, I had just come off of my Lisbon trip in my Spain El Camino last year. So there is things to do with, foreign shores, foreign lands, and foreign travel that become highlighted for you over the next 4 months. And if you are doing that traveling, you'll probably be doing it for livelihood and work reasons as much as anything else. And that full moon is opposite Chiron, the wounded one, connected to the sun in the third house. And it can really help complete a highlight and complete a wound connected to siblings, one younger especially, aunts, uncles, cousins, writing projects, marketing and selling endeavors, and travel. Those things are highlighted as a completion, fulfillment, revelation, and maybe healing that unfolds from this moon on the 12th of April. You should see evidence of what it's about in the 1 month that follows, but it may take a whole of 6 months to fulfill. Now, lastly, just for us here, we do have to deal with the fact that with Pluto in our first house, or with our sun and moon in Aquarius, we notice, Pluto with your moon and is your mom, and sun was your dad or father figures, mother figures. So major intensity going on there. But the rising sign is just about you being all Plutonian, Darth Vader, breathing in down everybody's neck. We do not suffer fools gladly at all right now. And it's like, we can be tyrannical sometimes. So be careful, or narcissistic. And so Pluto in our sign looks across the way at Mars, because Mars enters into Leo on April 18th. And then you're really going to want to watch out that last week of the month of April, because that's when Mars, especially the 26th, 27th, is exactly opposite Pluto. And that could be a massive blowout in a business partnership, a troll client situation, and or troll from hell, and or maybe something to do with a long-term love relationship. To use me as an example, this real weird troll from hell hit me around January 3rd, threatening to shut down my channel because I didn't answer a question or something, and she was going to report me to YouTube. And then she started spamming all of my comments everywhere, and I had to block her. And I hardly ever block people. So that was the January 3rd version. So you go back to like November the 3rd, 4th, and you go back to January the 3rd, and now we get January 26th, 27th. It's different though. This is more like January 3rd because it's in the Leo Aquarius axis. So I would say January 3rd and April 26th, duck. And also it could look like massive willpower being formed, like you've got your willpower mojo to do something you need to do. But let's be serious. It's also Mars with a sharp sword aiming at you. Like, I'm a little anxious because I'm an online presence, and this could be a stalker energy, right? So I had to be really careful the last week of April around that kind of stuff. So, and if if you're in a long-term love relationship and it's kind of rocky, this could be really a death knell. I'm just have to be honest, really. I can't have to speak it like I see it here, not pretend otherwise. There could be a very firm ending or blowout here as well. That's what I got for Aquarius. Let's move into the Pisces sun, moon, and rising. Oh, am I recording? Please tell me. Yes, I started my recording again. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. You are getting a green light to go ahead in anything you want and desire. Venus, the god of what do you desire, has been retrograding basically since March 1st, not all in your sign, by the way. But the message from her is something along the lines: what do you value? What do you want to have in your life? What do you wish to possess in your life? And how can you give the gift of permission to say yes to yourself? What do you desire in love, in money, in resources, and possessions? And how do you wish to look facially? And maybe it's time to make some changes to your face. That's okay too. And this retrograde energy goes direct on April 12th. And now what you want to have becomes clear and available. Mercury goes direct on April 7th after been retrograding since mid-March. You have the ideas to execute this. You have the information you need, and you have the communications power to start what you want. At the end of the day, you're in charge of this energy. The retrograde has been causing introspection for you, especially around earnings and resources as well. as facial appearance and teeth and nose. My Pisces rising sister had to have a tooth removed. Another Pisces guy I know had 2 teeth removed. And, you're having to rebuild the face, so to speak. We have the technology. But you also want to know about what it is you have to earn, what money you need to make, and do you enjoy making it? And is it the right thing for you? And how can you do that authentically? And this energy is now being available as all systems go mid-April. Yes. And you'll now know what it is to do and how to get that, off the ground. The North Node conjunct or meeting with Saturn once every, a couple hundred, 150 years. Okay, so it last happened in 1877. It does not happen again till 2090, something like that. So it's really important to understand how rare this is, that the node of fate joins with Saturn while Venus is midwiving this in your sign. Venus is exalted. This conjunction is exact on April 21st. But it's being felt April 4th to mid-May. And it asks you to consider what fated, destined, long game changes you wish to make or experience regarding the actualization of your Pisces sun, career, moon, home life, and rising sign, anything about your life. And therefore, this is a massive shift that lasts 11 to 12 years after this, where it's putting you into a new destined direction. You will attain more worldly success than you had ever been able to attain in this lifetime, guaranteed. Be careful you don't get caught up in a gilded cage of your own success. You will be more attractive, more popular, more captivating, more persuasive, and more charming than you've ever been in your life. And you will have material resource success because of this conjunction of Saturn and the North Node, witnessed by Jupiter in your 4th house. This is going to mean that it could also bring you great success from things you do in your home, at your home, home-based business, home-based creations, home-based teaching, or great success regarding property, land, home, and real estate matters over the course of the next 11 years. Not a one and done. Now, Jupiter and this energy with Mercury also connects to buying and selling real estate and money to do with financial resources connected to spouse. Now, I'm not wanting to worry you, but in the next 18 months with the South Node moving through your 7th house, some of you may end up with money through widowhood or widowerhood. It's just a possibility for a few of you. Okay, or end of the marriage and taking the resources of the property as you separate assets. This kind of vibe is here too. But you are on steroids getting your material resources needs activated in an exalted Venus way. You could be very entitled. Be careful. North Node makes you greedy. Be careful. If you're separating out in inheritance disputes or assets from, because Jupiter in the 4th can be inheritances or assets from marital separations. If you are greedy, avarice of greed, ambition will take you down. The karmic test here, and I'll be doing a deeper dive, is to be more sage-like and more wise and more neutral rather than falling into avarice and greed. Now, this energy that we're talking about is also at the time of this conjunction flowing in a beautiful way. Well, before this conjunction. So up until the 18th of April, Mars is flowing to the North Node Saturn conjunction before it becomes exact on the 21st. This can open up doors of opportunity that are fated and destined regarding romantic entrepreneur projects, creative projects, and romantic love opportunities. For single Pisces, keep that in mind. Now, on the 23rd degree of Libra, on the 12th of April, a big full moon light shines in the 8th house of chunky money. And this is resources are you share with others, the investments, the royalty income, the spousal shared resources, that tax monies and stuff like that. So while this is full, it can be completion and fulfillment, but also revelation about those resources. And this moon is squaring Mars at the time of the lunation in your 5th house. And there may be some very big revelations around money connected to your children or romantic partners, or revelations about resources and money connected to entrepreneurial endeavors. And it doesn't have to be bad. I don't want to scare you about that, but Mars isn't a sign of his fall. And so, like, say you were with somebody and they said, "Oh, I'm a millionaire," and then you find out they're a pauper, be careful. This could also look like revealing that you're being stolen from by a significant other. Now, the other thing about this is that this lunation is connected to matters of October 14th of 2023, July 14th of 2024 in phases of meaning. And so if I'm talking about shared monies with a partner, say you're going to have a separation agreement or a divorce or something, then you're going to have to look back to the times that I'm talking about. Now, it's also connected to real estate and property matters from last July when we had Jupiter here. So if you changed your home, bought a home, sold a home, like my Pisces rising sister did last July, then there's something to do again with the energy of now shared resources, mortgages and banking, shared monies, property and spouse, playing out all over again in a fulfillment moon, in a completion moon of some kind. You have to connect those dots. And this is a full moon in the sign of Libra that could open up a chunk of money opportunity. So it's not always a bad thing. But you may also complete or end something here as well. It was a new beginning and a new moon in the fall of 23. And now it's a completion full moon. And there's something about connecting those dots that could be helpful for you. I mean, it can be as simple as closing off a mortgage, paying it back, refinancing a mortgage that can fulfill itself in the month after and the 6 months after this new moon, full moon in Libra. One last thing I want to mention, just very, very briefly here, because I'm going to do big deep dive videos into this. And please check your all signs video. Your Pisces 25-minute forecast is already out. The playlist for that, each sign is in the description box and pinned to the comments, because I'm only giving you an overview here, not a good 25-minute week by week, day by day blow down. Yeah, what's the right word I want? Overview. Okay. No, this is the overview. The details, blow by blow, are already out in my 25-minute video. Please go check that out and like and subscribe. But the last thing I wanted to say, I did want to say something somehow, some way. I'm getting tired of talking. Uranus is in your third house, right? Shock and awe, like kaboom. But with Mars moving into your sixth house, there may be a change of home connected to rentals or pets, change of your home connected to pets, starting about the middle of the month of April through to the middle of June. So keep your eye on that too. You might want to rent a property out, rent out a part of your home, a room in your home, the basement of your home, or you might rent a property yourself, or you may get a pet. Those energies are very active for you mid-April until mid-June. And some of it will be surprising or unexpected or sudden, like you weren't planning for it, but here is a change of my home. All right, that's what I've got. So many things I could say, but I've got to keep it to what's doable in an overview video. Please watch all of my videos on my channel. Please go check out my playlist, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Oh my God. And please check that you're still subscribed. YouTube is doing its quarterly. It's like always the third week of March, third week of June, third week of September, and December at, third week at a month. They dump you guys off the channel. It's crazy. Does every channel have to be subscribed by YouTube every 3 months? So please check that you're still subscribed. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh my God, my hair. This is what happens when it just does like Lori gets out of the shower. It does not blow dry. Bye, everybody. Take care.